What's up, bikers? I'm Robert. This is the B1KER Bar Podcast, episode 122. Today we have Park Tool, and if you're familiar with their YouTube channel and the presence that they have on there, a gentleman named Calvin Jones. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys the normal beginning here. Do me a favor. We're going to be short on time today, so it's going to be a quick one. So with that being said, I'm going to say that again. With that being said, how many times can I say that in like 3 minutes? For real? Anyways, if you can do me a favor, swing by my Instagram or my Facebook, give me a follow over there. It's, gives you updates to the channel and what's going on around the B1KER Bar and the B1KER YouTube channel, as well as if you really want to help support the channel, do me a favor, go by Patreon. It helps a lot, from buying new mics to new cameras to fixing stuff that's broken, or just as simple as putting beer in the fridge. All of those things help the channel and help the content keep flowing. So if you could swing by patreon.com, look up B1KER, B1KER. That's all you got to do. If you don't want to do any of that, but you still want to help out, you can just watch everything. You can hit the thumbs up, subscribe if you want to see more, all of that jazz. With everything else, there's at least one thing that you can remember, that it only takes a bike to be a biker, right? So let's go ahead and get this thing started. All right. How's it going, Calvin?
Good. We're doing well here. You?
Not bad, man. It's Friday. I'm getting ready to roll into the weekend, so I'm excited about that.
Hope we're not cutting in and out on the old internet there.
Oh, no, you're doing just fine.
Oh.
Is it sound like it's stopping on your side?
Yeah, I don't know. We got to kick the hamsters downstairs.
Everything looks like it's running normal on my side, so I think
it's possible. It's our side. We'll see what happens. Stay cool.
Where are you guys located?
We are in Oakdale, which is just outside of St. Paul. So we're Minnesota.
Is that where Park Tool started, or they always been there?
We're really close. The Park Tool. There is no Mr. Park, which is interesting. We did get a lot of hits from Korea on people searching for family because of the name Park. The park that we're named after was an actual city park, and it's a common thing in the 60s, older times, to name your bike shop close to whatever you're next to, right? You're next to a waterfall. It was close to Hazel Park, Schwinn. So Hazel Park was a city park, and they had a Schwinn shop. So that was Howard Hawkins and his partner Art Engstrom. So they called it Hazel Park, Schwinn. So people would call up and say, "Well, where are you located?" "Next to Hazel Park." "Oh, okay." Well, so they grew and grew and grew, and then the company, the bike shop, moved away from Hazel Park. So now you're in trouble, right?
Right.
So now they are nowhere near Hazel Park, so they had to drop Hazel, and then they were Park, right? So now that's Park Schwinn. And then they started making their own tools. That's the whole story of back in the 60s, when they got going on tool making. That there wasn't any tools being made, so they made their own repair stands. They had to make their own stuff. So then they started doing that, and then the Schwinn rep, Jay Townley, started noticing, "Oh, you guys make your own stuff. That looks pretty good." And Schwinn contracted with them, make our stuff. So a lot of the early repair stands and early truing stands are Schwinn approved. And those are actually Park products. So
that's interesting.
Yeah. So the little technical note real quick. When you're cutting out, are all the people still seeing me? Or
I think everything's coming along fine on my end, which would be the same way that it's going on the internet.
Good. I'm going to assume that everyone's hearing. So yeah, that was Schwinn's color was red, right? So Schwinn, that was his company color. So hope you don't hear that. Do you hear that noise?
Definitely hear your phone ringing.
You're going to decline. Go away, you. There we go. Sorry. I don't even know who that was. So you
were saying Schwinn's color is red, and
Schwinn's red. They wanted to offer their own tool line, so they still made Schwinn tools, but they wanted to offer their independent tool line. You can't do red, right?
Right.
So they did blue.
Went with blue, right?
Opposite, on the spectrum, your color spectrum, the opposite blue. So that's where all the blue came from. So when they started the Park tool specifically, it was blue. So that's where the company color came from.
How long have you been with the company?
Yeah, so we're going to stick to that story.
Yeah. How long have you been with the company?
Coming up, 25 years into my 25th year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's the first year that my kid was born, so it's pretty easy to track. So
yeah, right. It
works out pretty good. So
yeah, my son was born in 2000, so I can always remember how.
Oh, the easy math. Yeah, that's good planning. Good planning.
Yeah.
So
my daughter is 2002. I got a really deep dive deep into the mathematical bin there.
Exactly.
But fortunately, it's easy because math is not my strong suit. Right?
Yeah.
So when you first started, there wasn't like a social media presence. What was it that you started doing?
Yeah, that would be 97, and it's early internet, right? So that's funny. I mean, okay, there wasn't internet social media, right? There was Reputation and that, of course. So, right, the early internet, people starting to email a lot more, and we were early on. We were actually on America Online. If anybody remembers AOL, that weird little bubble. It was a weird little bubble of this is the internet. Don't go outside the circle into that evil world, right? So we were in the AOL family, and then eventually, one of our guys said, "No, let's go out there." So, oh my gosh, we went out into the real world, and it was scary, and I got our own website, and 97, 98, and I did a lot of the early articles, and we got a camera. I was really excited about the camera we got because it took a 3-inch floppy, and I could take it out and put it straight into the computer and download my pictures. So, yeah, it was pretty exciting technology. So,
yeah, definitely times have changed, huh?
Oh yeah, it's and in a lot of ways that's a whole different. It's the same story. I guess we could talk about it, but the importance of knowledge from the internet is a good thing. In a lot of ways, it can help mechanics. Certainly, it helps people get their rides going. There's a lot of good information on the internet, and there's a lot of bad information on the internet.
Yeah, I think there's probably more bad information than there is good, right?
But you see, okay, you look at the Giro and the Tour and these big races. A lot of what they're doing, their guys are hanging out the car. They're not adjusting limit screws. They're there with their phone trying to upload the firmware.
Right.
I mean, and it's one of the interesting fixes. If you watch any of the roadies do this, somebody will have a problem, and they'll ride along, and they're looking back at it, and their teammate comes up. And you put your hand on his shoulder. So I'll put my hand on your shoulder to keep me steady. I ride alongside. I take my foot and I kick the rear derailleur.
Right.
That's the modern fix. Because does it do any good? I doubt it. Right. I feel like, oh, that's great.
My lady comes from the time when you bang on things to make them work.
Yeah.
My day job, I do IT, right? So as an IT guy, I'm like, let me tell you, babe, banging on stuff doesn't work. So she has this iPad, right? And the screen was like not working, right? And she kept banging on it. I'm like, look, stop banging that thing. You're going to break it. And so one day it's like totally on the fritz, and I'm like I'm doing all the IT things, and it's not working. And she's like, I've had it. She takes the iPad from me and just smacks the thing on the table hard as hell. And I'm like, you're going to break, like, it's probably broken. That's probably it. And I swear to God, that iPad never had a problem again.
Yeah.
So
You scared it. You scared it. Right?
So apparently banging it still works.
Well, your hope is there's some sort of little wire that, it's almost touching. And if I hit it, now it's good. It's connecting. So yeah.
So I mean, I've been riding bikes. Obviously, I'm in my mid 40s. I've been riding since I was a little kid, but I got into mountain biking probably in the early 90s, and I wasn't in a bike shop, so I don't know if Park Tool was kind of the industry standard back then. I remember the tools that I was buying were probably coming from like Nash Bar or Performance bicycles. And at what point was it that Park kind of just became this like standard across the board?
Well, pretty early on, in terms of shop wise, it went shop wise and then trickled out because, I mean, Schwinn at its peak was when this all was happening. I mean, you wanted to be a Schwinn dealer. It was professional. It was, you had the Paramount, you had the warranty, you had the backup. They did advertising. Schwinn had Captain Kangaroo. I mean, what businessman didn't want to have Captain Kangaroo talking about you? So I don't
even know how to explain that to the younger generation that could be listening. Captain Kangaroo is like I don't know, like Sesame Street or something like that. Very much of a staple of young kids' lives back then.
Yeah, early Sesame Street. A different Mr. Rogers.
Right. There you go.
And so anyway, so Schwinn, we were all integrated into Schwinn. Okay, so Schwinn kind of, I mean, that's the business cycle, right? Schwinn kind of dissolves and, the giant falls apart into all these different pieces. But Schwinn trained a lot of people. They trained the business owners. They went out, and the people who worked in the shops just as employees, they grew up and then they started a bike shop. So Schwinn had a huge influence that early Schwinn days. When they all left, they took that knowledge and those business models with them. So even if they ever, then went on to different things, that basis of having Schwinn and Park Tool was part of that. So, that's kind of where the shop stuff came from. And then we started doing consumer tools, which are important more and more and more, so that people can fix their own bike and, speed forward many, many years to these unprecedented times. The pandemic was very strange. That was a very strange time.
Yeah.
Which is not, let's pretend here that it's over. So everyone out there in video land, just give us a hall pass on this. But shops were trying to get bikes fixed, stay open, but one at a time, and people couldn't get there. It was too busy, so they started fixing their own bike. We saw a huge spike. We saw a huge spike in our videos. Everybody saw a huge spike in their videos, right? YouTube, people were sitting at home running out of things to watch. So any ridiculous video of a cat on YouTube is going to get watched during the peak of COVID. So COVID was very good for cats. So,
very good for cats.
So, but people started doing their own, trying to get their bikes repaired because they couldn't get it any other way. So, I'm not saying it's good. It wasn't. Was it good for business? I don't know. No, it wasn't good for the world.
So do you guys have like your own machine shop that you're machining these?
Well, yeah, sure. We have 4 Haas machines, which it's a CNC, and we have lathes where we turn. We make everything we can. We have a hand welder, like the big professional repair stands. We have a robot. We have 2 welding robots, which is a fun thing to watch. What do I have? Okay, here we go. So here's a piece of steel. Welding robot will come along and you program it. That it's going to go here. And you have to dial in, the resistance, the amount of time it's going to spend there, the arc that it goes, and the current, right? So it's going to come in and do that. So if you get it right, it's and then boom, it's done. It's out of here. If you get it wrong and you have it too hot, if you have this too hot, that's going to be a weak weld. You cooked it. You cooked the weld. If you came in cold, you didn't put enough power in here, it's going to be brittle. It's going to break. All right, so it's weak. So you have to have the robot, it's robot welding. Well, you still have to have it programmed just right, and then somebody load the parts just right. So there's still a lot of skill there.
Yeah, the company I work for builds robots that go on the bottom of the ocean, and we have a huge machine shop. But we're not doing anything where there's robotic welding. All our welding is still
right. And then we do all of our assembly here. We use a lot of vendors. Okay, like our drilling stands, we weld them all here, but the steel is stamped. We bring they have somebody take the steel and fold it over and stamp it. I mean, that's a huge machine,
right?
That comes in and just takes this 1/8-inch steel and just slams it into a nice shape. Then we weld it and send it out. We don't do any painting here, and chrome is interesting. We're doing less and less chrome. Nobody wants to live next to a chrome plant. Okay, so we're trying to avoid that when we can, moving away from that. So
that's interesting, because back in the 80s and 90s, if it wasn't chrome, it was wrong, right?
Well, I guess as much as bikers love to complain about cars, guess where the love of chrome came from?
Yeah, right.
The bumper. There's more chrome on the bumpers of a '64 Chevy than most of our repair parts. And
right,
when the chrome businesses started to go away, right? So we're in the Twin Cities. It's a pretty major industrial city. Okay? Go to Pittsburgh, go to Cleveland, go to all these big Chicago area, big industrial areas. Fewer and fewer in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Detroit. Not a lot of people left chroming. Not a lot of people. If they're going away, we're not going to keep them in business. So we're basically a big fish in a small pond, right? We think Park Tool, we're the world's largest bicycle tool maker. Okay, we employ 70 people.
Mm-hmm.
And,
which is pretty big for a bike-related company.
Right? But compared to a car company, the seatbelt company employs probably 1,000.
Right, yeah.
So we're that's what I'm saying. It's cycling. We're the center of the universe. Well, we're a little bitty pocket, and we think we're important in our world, and maybe we are, but there's just a great big world out there.
That's one of those things that I really like that people learn from this podcast, is that even myself, before I was, more involved in the industry, I assumed that if it was Park Tool or, Cali helmets or something like that, that there's, some dude in a suit running the show, and it's this big, huge business. And as I became part of the bike industry, I just really learned how small everything is. And so many of these businesses are, mom and pop type shops with, their friends and family working there, and then just grew from there a little bit more. And they're really not huge, businesses like you would see in, like you mentioned, the automotive world. So it's always interesting to, I think, for people to understand that.
Right. So the owner, Eric Hawkins, is the son of one of the founders, and our CFO is his sister, Sarah Carlson, and it's a lot of people been here a long time. A lot of friends and friends of friends start working here, and so we support. It's interesting to think of it this way: how many families do you support? Right. We work 50. Probably 2 years ago, we were 50 people, and it's hard to keep people. So with the competitive pricing and stuff, so it's good to have that institutional knowledge of even here's an example. So here we go. So here's a pretty stock tool. It's a shop tool. It's supposed to have this piece here. This is supposed to turn, and an employee's been around, they're going to know what this does. So here comes a new employee. They just started today. Well, this is going on and it's jamming. It doesn't turn nice. Do they know that? Do they know, just put it in a bag? And so we rely on our good people. We rely on having consistent people know, oh, no, that's not supposed to do that.
Right.
That's a problem. So that's a reject. So your people are really truly your basis of what you're doing.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think something's changed with culture, that culture of wanting to go work for somewhere for your entire life is it's not looked like back when I was younger. It was looked on as like something that you wanted, and nowadays people barely want to stay somewhere for 5 years. Like if they're somewhere for 5 years, they're thinking, I need to move. My career's stagnant. I'm not doing whatever. And it's really interesting to think about maybe why things change that way. I don't know.
Well, back in the olden times, back in the old days, when we used to have trade shows, what used to be called the trade show, which is an excuse to go to Las Vegas or Reno. That's what the trade show is. Right. The mechanics would come up and they tell you this, and I've been a bike mechanic a long time. I've been a bike mechanic 5 years. Oh, 5 years. Well, that's great. So you're right about that, and they say that about the dreaded M word. I don't know if it's okay to say that millennial, if that's allowed. But it's true of the modern economy that you don't stay places long, and I can see that. I guess it's a way to do things, but what no one's gonna. I'm not going to tell your viewers to get off of my lawn, okay? Yeah. So, no, I'm not going to yell at people, but it is nice when you talk to a person and have that long view. Yeah. That you've been around and you've seen this cycle before, right? You've seen, the bike boom of the 70s. It's not the COVID boom. It's different, but it's good to have had that experience. So that I do like people drilling down into their profession and having that deep knowledge, right? Yeah. Experiencing a lot of bikes, talking to a lot of people. Imagine a doctor. I've been a doctor for 5 years. That's enough. I'll go be a welder. Well, these older doctors have seen a lot of disease, have seen a lot of symptoms, and I'll argue that's exactly like a good mechanic. You've had your hand on a lot of bikes. You've heard a lot of creaks, and you've heard the complaints. And that database that you build in your brain is important. The internet does not replace it, and a phone app, cannot duplicate that.
Yeah, and I think in terms of manufacturing, like what you guys are doing, if you don't have people with long-term experience at your company, you're almost bound to make mistakes that you've made in the past over again. Where somebody could be looking at that tool that you were holding a few minutes ago and be like, "Oh, well, this is how we fix this," and the guy that's been there for 15 years knows, actually we tried that 20 years ago and it was a failure, and this is what went wrong, and this is why we decided to design it that way. Right. Instead of you going down this path of redoing some problems that you've already come to solutions on,
Right. True. Yeah, very true.
So you guys, what's the park warranty on the tools there's a price. There's definitely a premium to your tools.
Well, sure. Park tool is it's materials and workmanship. Okay. Right. So, and people, some of the public wants, lifetime. Well, what does that mean? It means if we made it bad, we didn't weld it right. Good example, that weld. If we got that weld, we cooked it. Okay, workmanship, that's warranty. We meant to put in steel, but instead we used a piece of plastic. Okay, that's material. So we blew it there. But if something, normal wear is normal wear, and we don't warranty for that. And we do get some pushback on that. that, oh, it should be lifetime, like, Snap-on. And but guess what? Craftsman and Snap-on don't do that either.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a myth that, one of the famous stories, because my dad was a Snap-on tool dealer, right? So I have some background.
So it runs in the family, the tool business.
Yeah. So people will come up. I'll take the screwdriver in front of the dealer and I'll bend it, on a vise, and he'll hand me a new one. Well, you know what? He's handing you a new one because he knows that you're on his account and he's going to get more money from you later. That's a little trade secret there because the Snap-on business, they're their own businesses, right? A tool dealer owns those tools. He wants you to buy his tools. Right. Her tools, they don't want you to go down to Craftsman. So you're going to probably get a warranty out of that dealer, but that's not what it's intended for. So a cone wrench is a really good example, or a pedal wrench. For a professional in a situation, pedal wrenches have to be thin to fit the pedals, right?
Right.
If we made a really thick pedal wrench that never ever wore out, it wouldn't fit the pedals. So you put a lot of pedals on, Eventually, there's just basically 2 points of contact, and the load is actually only on 1 point. And another interesting issue is the fit of the tool. So pedals, if you get a caliper on the pedal, right? Our tools are 15 millimeter. The pedals are significantly under that. Right. Well, the pedal cannot be 15. You can't have a 15 going in at 15. It doesn't work. There is a slip bit. But if you have a pedal that's 14 and a half, it jiggles a lot. It doesn't put the load where it's supposed to be. It's going to wear out quicker. That's just life. And, well, somebody paid $200, $300 for their strain gauge, power needle pedal, and they're putting it on. Oh, this wrench is bad. Well, why don't you measure that pedal? And then we'll talk. They want to blame the tool, but you look at the tool first. So we have to be careful there and make sure our stuff is to spec, and that's all we can do. So
that's interesting. I didn't think about the possibility of the machining practices of the part that you're working on. Actually,
Shimano and Trev, they never make a mistake.
Just a little sense of sarcasm there, right?
Maybe.
So, how do I know some of your tools, they typically have a name that is, similar to what the actual tool does. Like pedal wrench might be like PW1, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes you'll have a 1.2 or a 1.3, which is a revision. What is it that brings you guys to those revisions?
So change in the marketplace. I mean, okay, chain whip, the famous chain whip. I need a chain whip to hold the cassette sprocket. Okay, so we got 5-speed, now we're 6-speed. Okay, everything's fine. It's not that big a deal. 7, 8, 9, 10-speed. Whoa, 10-speed, isn't this fun? Well, a 5-speed chain will fit on a 10-speed sprocket, okay?
Mm-hmm.
A 5-speed chain will fit on a 13-speed sprocket if it's off the bike. So in other words, the teeth of the sprockets haven't changed. It's still half-inch pitch. But they're stacked so tight together. Once you put the sprocket on the cassette stack, the 5-speed does not drop in nice. Yeah. So then, we had to go to, more and more and more speeds, narrower and narrower chain to be relevant, right? Mm-hmm. To be relevant. And fortunately, in that example, it's backwards compatible. So if we have a sprocket tool working on 12, 13 speed, and you do have your old 5-speed, it fits. It fits the sprocket. You wouldn't ride with it. But it holds that sprocket. So the naming can be kind of fun. We do spend some time. Sometimes it's pretty obvious, like the pedal wrench and the pedal wrench. PW one. The PS1.
Is that the pizza slicer?
See, that's good. Depends where your head's at. I can tell where. It's a piston spreader.
Oh, there we go.
So it's a piston spreader. So, or pad spreader. It's thin. It's intended to spread with the pad. So pad spreader is the best.
There you go.
So, yeah, but as the industry changes, or we just think of something better that's going to be better, we'll do a 0.1 or a 0.2. So, yeah. And if it's a completely new design and completely different, we just go to a different number.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Is there a way that like people can like make like recommendations or anything like that? Or
sure, get on our website. We always love to hear. Parktool.com. There's a contact page and there's a form. We could answer tech questions. Do I turn it clockwise? Do I turn it counterclockwise? So, it's all right there.
Yeah.
Comments. Yeah, go through there, and we read all emails. We look at the website. YouTube comments. It's our job to read those to know what people like or don't like. So
yeah.
We answer the phone. If you call Park Tool, we have Nicole and Chris. They'll answer the phone. You don't get a machine that. For French threaded monitor brackets, push 6. You get a person, and then what do you need? I need this or that, and then you'll get, me or Truman or all sorts of different possibilities. Yeah. So. Yeah,
I tell you, I hit 45 this year in August. I will be, and people always told me that when you get in your mid 40s, your vision, that up close vision, starts going. And
what are you talking about?
Right. And so I thought that this was something that happened like it took a while to happen, like you start seeing it coming. But for me, it's been like one day I woke up and it's like, oh shit, I can't read anything anymore.
Yeah.
And your Allen keys have the sizes of the Allen keys written on them so small, the little T-handle ones.
Bring it.
I'm like, what can I do? Like, I was thinking of 3D printing something. I was like, what can I do so I can actually read what sizes these are?
Okay, here we go. I'm going to grab something. Here we go. Consider it a game. Okay, right. So your feeling, and I truly believe this, and I do want to come back to the aging thing, but be able to close your eyes. You should be able to close your eyes as an experienced mechanic. Okay, this is a 5, and that's kind of a fun game. That's a fun game. I do want to do some mechanics games. There's a festival I'm going to in Austria next week for the GCN people, and that was one of the things I wanted to do at night is have mechanics games where all the geeky people that don't want to dance because they're having a disco, right? Turns out the British love to have discos, so. But the people who don't want to dance would come over to my corner, and we would do things like name the thread, right? Is that an M6 or is that a 1/4 inch? Right? You could do all sorts of fun little things like not so much trivia, but mechanic skills. Make people do awkward positions, and they have to turn the thread. In a real awkward, position, and I think that'd be a lot of fun. But that knowledge, about the 5 and 6. But you're right; they should be bigger. So you put that in a note and send that on in and tell them Calvin said so too.
All right, I'll definitely let them know.
The aging thing, if I can talk about that a second, that's
go for it.
I got to see my dad go through that, and now I'm going through it. But okay, the vision, definitely, don't be shy about. And I love these little clippies here, So
those of you guys that are listening, he has magnetic glasses where the middle of the nose piece is a magnet, and he's just on.
Okay, can your audience see that there? Pow!
There you go.
First time my dad saw these, Hey, son, those are broken. Give me those things and I'll glue them. What the heck? There's a magnet. So, one thing I do now when I work, I'll wear safety glasses outside just for plain work for the UVs, for the ultraviolet. So I'm trying to be protective as I can. Plain old clear safety glasses cut UVs as much as sunglasses, right? People think it's, the dark sunglasses. It's, so if I'm out at high altitude, especially, wear safety glasses. If you're going to be aging in this profession. Another thing that you see, and your older people know this, it's not uncommon, the skin thins. It's easier to tear. It's easier to cut, right? So, and depending on your genetics, I definitely scratch and cut easier. It still coagulates and stops, which is nice, but definitely, if you've worked with solvent, okay, not so much the older generations, the greatest generation thing, they've often worked with, like remember my dad, he would use either gasoline or as a car mechanic. You're going to go to lunch, you need to wash your hands. Mineral spirits. Wash up with, that's horrible. You don't want to, don't want to be doing that, but it affects your skin over the years. So,
I still have a canister of mineral spirits that when you're really trying to get that stuff off, man, it works quick.
I agree. Don't tell anybody that, okay? That's between us.
It's just a secret. We'll keep it on just between the two of us.
Thanks. But and also, your back standing up a lot. You see the young mechanics. Oh, you shouldn't be sitting down when you work. Well, actually, that's not such a bad thing. There's definitely some jobs you can do better sitting down. All right. For one thing, you're getting down low to the bottom bracket. That's a good example if you're having to work there. And strength. I'm not as strong as I of course, with these pipes, I was never quite that strong, but I really have to watch leverage. I like a long torque wrench for the leverage. I work the mechanical advantage. Move yourself around the bike to get the best position to tighten and loosen so that, as you get older and you change, a mechanic should adapt their world to make things work. And sometimes that's you're having to adapt. Right, that's what mechanics should be doing. Solve problems.
Yeah, definitely. So, some of those things that people always forget is like what direction things go. Do you have an easy way to tell people how to remember which way to turn?
Practice. The righty-tighty thing is you hear a lot of that.
That doesn't work for me.
So,
in my mind, I can like figure out how it goes right with both hands.
Right.
So it never worked for me.
So one thing I like to do that I've been doing for the last few years is mentor some high school mechanics at our high school mountain bike team. So we have a NICA team, the Minnesota Cycling Association, and we call them equipment managers. And it's interesting to watch them. We talk about tightening and loosening. This is clockwise and counterclockwise. And we've gone through all of that, and my new ones especially, I still see them. I say, okay, we're going to tighten this. So here we go. No, the other tighten. Oh, okay, this way. So that tighten and loosen thing, practice. But one thing that's important to remember on that, and this is good, getting back to the game thing. One of the things we do when I train these students, the first couple of times we don't even see a bike. I don't even want to talk about bikes. I want to talk about properties of materials. I want to talk about steel and aluminum and plastic and wood and how they bend and shape and like threads. We'll take a tap and cut some threads in aluminum, and they'll put a bolt in it, and we'll all pull it up gently snug, and then we learn what a torque wrench is, and then they systematically learn to strip it. That's an important feeling to know that you're pulling something up, and then you feel it give. Okay. Yeah. Well, why would you do that?
Well, I think if you know how to, and if you know what it feels like to fail, you know where you have to go, right?
I would rather they do that on the piece of aluminum I have than on the bike they're about to work on.
Yeah.
But what I'm getting to is this. If I don't know which way here's a new bolt. I've never seen it before. It could be a right-hand thread, could be a left-hand thread. If you grab it and you guess correct, if you were to graph the resistance, you're going to have a quick easing. It's going to move, and as it moves, the feedback to you, the feedback loop, I'm feeling that ease. If I guess the wrong way and I'm going to turn it, and it's the other thread direction, I turn it that little bit, I don't get that easing. Guess what I probably have done? I've guessed the wrong way. So if
it's tough though. It's tough, like with something like a pedal or a bottom bracket.
That's exactly right.
Those can get worked on there so damn tight where you're giving it a good yank and you're going the wrong direction and you're not really doing anything.
Yeah, there's if you go to our website, to plug our YouTube channel, go to the YouTube, look at the pedals, the Tech Tuesday, and one of the fun ones we did, I had people send in haikus of how to remember. So if you like that haiku, there were some good ones sent in how to remember. But pedaling forward, as if the bike were pedaling forward, will loosen each side, and it is confusing because on a bike, the right crank is a right thread and the left crank's a left thread. But a threaded bottom bracket, the left side is a right-hand thread and the right side is a left-hand thread. And your eyeballs just moved. Yeah. When I said that, you were thinking of that. You were thought, oh, yeah.
The guy, I can tell you this much. Every time I change my bottom bracket, there's some dude's YouTube video that I go to. It's like the search terms are ingrained in my brain, and I can just see which way he's turning on the drive side, and I'm like, okay, that's right. Yeah. And he's like English, so he says instead of saying like clockwise and counterclockwise, he says anti-clockwise. Yeah, that's it.
Anti-clockwise is good. Against the clock.
Yeah.
So the standard English bottom bracket is fun. That's what we call that. Of course, this is a whole other topic. The bike industry, the bike mechanic part of it, we're no better than India. We make up our own language, right? Mm-hmm. So, but why do that? So you can describe things quicker, right? But definitely the specialist knowledge sometimes is to keep people out, right? Doctors are the worst. Doctor language, it keeps people out of their profession. And cooks do it, right? Machinists do it. Everybody, IT people.
Oh, yeah, we definitely do it.
Oh, yeah. So, but the English threading it came from BSA, okay? Birmingham Small Arms. That's where that standard came from. Well, they made motorcycles, they made guns, they made bikes early on, pre-World War II. And then we adopted that thread standard. Now, British Raleigh bicycles, they had a 1 3/8 inch by 26 TPI, a competitive a different bottom bracket standard, and that one faded away. So the BSA became the standard, and now we call it English, and some people call it ISO, right? So isn't that fun? So you go in and order the right bottom bracket, and if the person behind the counter doesn't know, it's silly. We press-fit bottom brackets have a horrible system for naming, and headsets are horrible. So spoke gauges. That's one of the worst. A spoke gauge is not a size, right? There's no such thing as a 14 gauge diameter, right?
Right.
2 millimeters is a diameter, right? 14 gauge is not a diameter. That's just our wacky little world, and you can drive yourself crazy or just live with it. It would be nice if we spoke all the same language, though.
So you said you started at Park in the late 90s.
Yeah.
Were you in the bike industry before that, or?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I taught at Barnett Bicycle Institute. I was a race mechanic. So my first bike shop would have been a sophomore in high school. So we are going back to 72, 1872.
1872,
Yeah.
right?
1972. And so my first bikes were codded cranks, steel codded cranks. And boy, those were a pain. And you ride hard, your ankles come in at all. You clip your ankle on that nice piece of chrome steel. Ouch. So, yep. And then, no, it's been a while. It's the only job I've had, I guess. So I haven't gone out to other industries and, been a cook or been a physicist or anything.
Right.
Always bikes. So riding them, coaching, working with the U.S. national team, Olympics, World Championships, and then just, charity rides and just nonprofit organizations and teaching about bikes, and then with Park Tool. So
yeah,
I don't know.
So somewhere along the line, you guys decided to start your own YouTube channel. What was it that you guys?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's interesting. It's hard to remember. You would have thought we would go through this and we'd have some company historian and keep track of this. And
you're the historian.
Well, but you know what? I guess we can. I guess it all tracks itself. I should go back on that and look, right? So we can see the first one. But
was the idea just like, hey, let's show people how to use this stuff and it'll help our sales? Or
that was part of it. I mean, that's part of the curriculum I wrote for shops, the Park Tool School. We like shops to connect with their community and teach classes. That's why we wrote a curriculum for them, because I still am a big believer in that in-person training. It's a good example. If you're teaching someone and they start looking up, they're visualizing, or questioning, and that's a really important skill as a teacher. If you watch a YouTube channel, I mean, a good one, let's pretend ours is a good one. You watch a video 100 times. You know what it's telling you? The same thing 100 times.
Right.
And if that doesn't work for you, right? If that language doesn't click for you, if it doesn't, if we're not putting it in a way that you need, that's what a teacher is for, right? To say, I don't get that. Okay, well, let's think of it like this. I want you to do it this way, or give you another metaphor, or take your questions. So that in-person training is important, and it really makes a nice bond between the shops that do that, that put out the effort to do that.
I mean, at the time that you guys started doing that, the probably most of the thought process by a company would be, well, we would charge for this. So to start doing that for free, and somebody from your team said that you started in 2015. That's ahead of the power curve. You know what I mean? So you guys were definitely thinking a little outside of the box.
Right. So we do want, the shops, when they teach their in person, there's a charge for that. Adult education, right? You're going to learn how to tie flies. I want to learn how to make quilts. I want to take an art class. There's a charge for that. And bicycle mechanics should, to learn as a hobby shouldn't be any different. But the YouTube, the owner, Eric Hawkins, was his decision that we're going to make this available. And, sure, we're going to show you how to take a chain apart. And yes, we want you to get a Park Tool chain tool. But I don't know. I don't think if you look at our stuff, I don't think we pound the brand, right? Yeah,
I don't think you need to. This is the thing. It's the good tools speak for themselves. Yeah. And I am a self-admitting person that I am a cheap ass. And I can't tell you how many times that I've been like, I'm not paying $80 for that tool. I'm going to buy this cheap one over here from Amazon. And like 3 weeks later, I'm just irritated because now I'm buying the $80 one.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it happened to me even with these torque wrenches back here. These torque wrenches that you guys have, this one here is the TW 6.2. I don't know which one that one is. TW5. Like when I first looked at those, I was like, man, I'm not paying that much. I can get a cheap torque wrench. So I bought some torque wrench on Amazon, and it was a great deal. And it looked a lot like yours. And then I tried to use it, and it only torqued one direction. So the things that I really wanted to care about, like my bottom bracket that was torquing the opposite direction, this thing was useless. And of course, it sat on my shelf for 4 months before I had to use it, right? And I couldn't return it anymore. So that was a sunk cost. And it was one of those type of situations have happened to me over and over again. And that's whenever, you get to a point where you're like, just spend the money, get the quality. There's a reason it costs that much.
Yeah. There's the left and right thing is interesting. Not just bottom brackets, but suspension, right? If you ride a full suspension bike, it's getting fairly common. You'll have a bolt on the inside of the linkage, the head's on the inside, but the tool fitting is in the stud part. So the bolt is turning righty-tighty as far as the bolt's concerned, but you're on the outside, you're turning it anti-clockwise.
Yeah.
So makes sense. So you're not looking at it this way, you're looking at it this way.
Yeah.
So you still need that left. You need it to torque both ways because yes, it's the bolt is pulling up in a normal right-hand direction, but it's being measured from the other side.
Yeah.
So that versatility that, in terms of left, we're just talking about turning it left and right, which is another good example. Yeah. If you want to take your bike apart, you put your wrench in that thing. If you don't pay attention, I'll just turn this counterclockwise. Well, do a full inspection of the part. Oh, the head of the bolt is in here. That one, you turn clockwise to drive the head out. So anyway.
Yeah, I did the same thing with the T handles that we were talking about. I have the Park ones, but I bought some other brand, and they just snapped all the time. And they had a warranty. I could return them, but it was like, how many times do I need to return these stupid things before I'm over it? And apparently that number was like 10. And then 10 times. And then I gave them away to somebody else, and I bought the Park ones, but it's definitely like, it's one of those things where, like I said, the tools actually speak for themselves. And anybody that uses tools a lot, you've probably had this experience, So anyways, so do you nowadays you're probably recognized, instantly from your YouTube success, right?
At a bike event, sure.
Yeah.
Sea Otter is a good example, but we're talking again about that the cycling world being this little bubble, and but that's where I hang out, I guess, right? So I go to bike as in my off time, I'm doing mentoring and coaching with the team, or I'm helping build trails and stuff. So, and that's I hang out with biker people. I guess I should get out more, really, shouldn't I? I should go to a book club. I find a book club that reads biker books. So
there you go, bike reviews.
So tell me, what does Hemingway think of bikes? I want to know. So I don't know. It's good to be expansive and to draw in other things. It's nice to see other parts of life, but I always end up
do what you love, right?
Yeah,
definitely. What has that YouTube presence surprised you in any way that you weren't thinking it was gonna take a hold of it that way?
Yeah, no, I had no idea what to expect. I mean, because I guess I don't know if it's like right now. Okay, these kids, I keep going back to the high school, but they're growing up with this stuff. And my kid, he's 25, but he grew up as a youth through this stuff, but we didn't, right? So to me, it is surprising, but to to, my kid's surprised, you're a YouTube star.
Yeah.
But in that little world, right?
Yeah.
In that but is that what, Salvador Dali?
Yeah.
Do I have that right? Everyone's famous for 5 minutes. One of your readers.
Maybe somebody in the comments will
that got the wrong celebrity, but the point is you can be famous in this little microcosm. But you don't want to get too, you mispronouncing. I'll mispronounce something. I'll say something, online, and then it's in the internet, and then people are always going to comment. We did a bike wash video, and I pointed out, and this is good I really want people to start developing an eye to a mental template to look at a bike, and this is a normal bike, and if something sticks out kind of weird, something's weird, they'll look at it. Well, a good example was in one of the bike wash videos, one of the housings didn't have a zip tie. And we got to put a zip tie on that. Well, at the end of the wash, I didn't put a zip tie. So this was a 6-year-old video, and I still haven't put the zip tie on it. So it's like a perpetual tragedy, right? So
still people reminding you to put the zip tie on.
Yeah. The poor guy pushes the ball up the top of the hill every night, and then it rolls back down. He doesn't get his zip tie. It's a great tragedy. So, but people are some are nice. Some people are nice, and some people are. You just wonder,
Yeah.
You just wonder what are you saying here? So.
Yeah, it's definitely.
You know who I'm talking about out there,
right? Yeah, they knew who they are.
Yeah.
If there was anything on the bike that you could change that you just think is like mechanically wrong, what would it be?
Sure. I'll give you one thing. Housing stops, cable housing stops, and cable routing. So this is my little inside joke with other bike mechanics. They have the engineers. They got these great engineers. They design the carbon and the number of fibers and the direction and then the geometry, and it's all beautiful. And they're like a doctor. Then they're done, and they hand it to the junior engineer. You put the cables on, kid. Right? It's like turning around. You finish up and sew the patient up. My work is done.
Right.
And then the ridiculous housings, the way they're routed, and the way they're routed, they'll rub the frame. All right, they'll rub to the frame that the point's removed, the paint's removed. But I've also seen it that they've rubbed so much they've removed metal. Metal is coming off the fork or the frame, right? Bad kinks, and there's I just got a really nice bike. It's a new bike. It's more bike than I'll ever need, right? It's this this brand X, I'm going to call it.
You don't want to plug them,
right? It's got boost spacing. It's got huge travel, and it's just far more bike than I'll ever be able to ride. But the rear housing that comes straight out of the chainstay, and then the stop is over on the side, and then it has to make this horrible double bend, right? It has to make a horrible double bend, and there's no option because of the way they placed it, right? Yeah. So does it ruin the bike? No. Does it shift? Yes, right? So you're supposed to be riding electric shifting anyway. And,
right.
Yeah, I would say housing stops. They're not very well thought out. Brake or shifting in a lot of cases. So that's one of them.
There you go. Somebody in the comments said the star nut. They're surprised that's still a standard.
Oh, the star nuts, yeah, but there's a good replacement. The compression plugs. Compression plugs are good, but you got to spend some money.
Yeah.
But the star nut, is, from what my understanding is, my research, comes out of the lawn furniture industry.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You see a lot of it in the furniture in general, but especially in the outdoor furniture, because they have the steel tubing outside. Right?
Uh-huh.
But no, you do see the star-spangled that come out of we do borrow from other industries,
which
is a little bit ironic. And if you have you look at the history, it's kind of fun. Columbus tubing, right? Famous, Columbus Tubing, it's so wonderful for the steel people. They got their start in lawn chairs, right? So, wow.
Yeah, I am always irritated by the seat clamp on the bike that holds the actual seat to the post.
Good one.
I feel like there's
one.
some good alternatives out there. I see certain companies will do some stuff on the side that makes it just so much easier. And I don't know why the standard hasn't changed, because I feel like every time I have to take my seat off now, especially with like a dropper now, every once in a while you have to take your seat off to put some more air in or something.
Good.
And every time I do that, it's like, oh God, I know it's going to be like 3 rides until I get the seat back to where I wanted it. And then it's just irritating as hell. Like your Allen key doesn't fit on the front one, right? You can only do a quarter a turn until you get it loose enough that you can then turn it all the way. And it's just, I don't know. I feel like there should be I feel like there should be like a quick release, like just a little, like, push this lever up, seat comes off, push this lever down, it's on,
Boy, you're demanding. Oh man,
yeah, I know, right?
Manufacturers are listening to this.
Yeah, I bought a 3D printer recently, and now I think I'm an inventor of everything.
There is a conflict, definitely. Well, there's several conflicts, but between holding secure and being really reliable, and then easy.
Yeah.
Right. So sometimes there's but no, that's true. It's been the weak part for a lot of the bikes. It's been weak. That joint there, it has to be adjustable. People need to move it, but it also needs to hold secure, right? And that with round posts, you had certain technology, but now we have an arrow-shaped tube or a D-shaped or these weird shaped tubes, and the droppers are interesting. Trying to put this new technology into basically older frames. People that want to get their droppers overhauled because they're sticky, it's pretty common. It was simply too tight, right? They're choking.
Yeah.
You're choking off your dropper, and if you loosen it up a little bit, boing! Oh, you fixed it. Yeah. So but there's a conflict, and we hear a lot of that too out in the industry with, from the consumers. Okay, what people hate: bottom brackets. We have an article or a video on describing most of the different bottom brackets, and there's ones that aren't even described that we haven't put on there, and it is confusing, right? I have a PF30. What's a PF30? What does that mean? I have a BB86, and I have a BSA, and I have a French threading, and do we need all that?
Yeah.
Well, no, but you're going to get it. If you want performance, if everybody, this is so important, it'd be stiff, and it'd be reliable, and the bearings spin great, and this and this and this. You're telling the engineers, go to town, give me something good. Oh, but I want you all to be the same.
Yeah.
Well, that's not free market how it works.
I just had to buy a new one the other day. I got your BBT 69.2 here in a box.
Okay.
Because I am using a dub that I have, whatever that tool is, and I recently switched to center lock, and I didn't have. A while ago I built my lady's bike, and she had center lock, and for some reason I got that rotor on there, and I couldn't remember how I did it. So I ended up getting online. They're like, "Oh, you need this cup," and so I ordered this. That way I could use it with the torque wrench.
Right.
And then a couple days later, I realized that I have a wrench that was for the cap on my lefty. I used to have a lefty way back when, and that cap was the same size. But I couldn't remember when I was putting it on. I was like, man, I know I put that rotor on there before. I don't know how the hell I did it though.
Yeah, it's nice when companies, they will look around some. I mean, a company's not going to make money on the $12 special tool on their $8,000 bike. That's So if they can use a fitting that's already out there, they like that. But so a very popular company, a very well-known company, has now 3 different tool fittings on different levels of their bottom bracket. Okay.
Oh, interesting.
So there's and they're all 16 point. One's large, Papa Bear, 24 millimeter, and that's you go down a little bit, the Mama Bear. So, and then there's the smaller one. And then why would you do that? Well, you do save a few grams as you go down the line. All right. Yeah. So, but is that important? Well, not to me, but to the top end people, if you really are pushing that envelope. But yeah. So, but do we need the different? There's a 24 millimeter spindle standard. There's a 24 that steps down to a 22. There's a 26 millimeter standard. There's a 30 millimeter standard. There's a 35 millimeter standard. And let's not forget dub. What diameter?
I don't even know.
28.99.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because they didn't want to do 30 like Shimano, right?
Well, Shimano's 24.
So wait, there was something about that though. There was something else that was 30, and they wanted
the PF30 there was a lot of 30 millimeter out there.
That's what it was. Yeah.
But this is interesting. Dub is interesting, and it was kind of a smart move. They're trying to create a common platform across the board. That's the concept, and it's not even a tool fitting. The Dub standard is the spindle and the bearing. That's the Dub standard.
Yeah.
The tool fitting could be anything, and it could be on a press fit, it could be on a thread fit. But I don't know if they're going to be able to pull that off, because there's so much legacy out there. They would, if we could start.
It would be nice to see some things have a standard. Like I think like if you could get a derailleur hanger, a standard across all bike companies, that would be great. Excellent. Because, for instance, I have a buddy recently bought this beautiful Scott bike, and the derailleur hanger that they have on that bike, no matter where he breaks one, he can't find one. Yeah. So it's like if he was in a different city, they have a whole box of them, but the city that he's in is when they're always out.
I know a guy. I just met a guy, and he said he has a 3D printer.
Oh yeah, right.
What's that again? That could metal? Is your printer metal?
No, but I'd have to
you need to up your game.
I need to.
Okay, so let's use the hanger thing as that's a really good example. Do you really want them all the same? Now, you're going to be a derailleur company, and you have a brilliant idea. I had this new way to shift. Your platform is set for you. You cannot change. What if your idea is better? Okay. A company, a very clever company, did what's called a DM mount, direct mount.
Yeah.
So, Campagnolo, so I've been in the business a long time, and even before me, there's the mounting bolt is right below the axle, right? That's where they all are. Well, this one company, it brought the thing back. It brought the hanger back, and boy, are they strong and tough, right?
Yeah.
So, and then they mount their derailleur to that bracket, and it works great. So why should you be limited just to that standard mounting? That's a classic tough one. It'd be nice to have them all the same. How many models of replaceable hangers? We're going to do a video on that eventually. If you told me there are 200 different hangers, I would bet you are low.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah.
And then, of course, it's great because there's I have the 2007 to 2000 model, Babushka, from Bubba's Bike Company, and they're out of business. So, good luck.
That's where you need those 3D printer guys out.
That's right. That's right. And that's also an interesting thing for the modern world here. You are seeing files. People are giving each other files of different components, right? So it's a 3D print file. It's just a PDF, and it can be fed into the machine, and it'll spit out this particular part. So,
Yeah. I was reading this thing about the guy that, let's just say, invented the 3D printer that I bought. And he was saying, like in his mind, he sees a future where you buy files like that. So like instead of buying the Park tool, you buy the Park tool so that you can print it at your house.
Right.
And that's how you get things right away instead of like having to go to the store. It was interesting to think about,
That's it. We'll get to work on that. We'll get.
I'm sure it's not tomorrow.
You have to buy the blue cartridge though when you buy our stuff. But
only prints in blue. But I mean, who knows? Those days will come, So we're rounding an hour here, and I know you wanted to get on about your day. I really appreciate your time. Is there anything that like anything that you want to say about Park, like what makes them stand out, why people should choose Park? The
people.
Yeah.
My buddies here, not me, but Andy Palmer, Eric Hawkins, Alex Hawkins, his son works here. It's 3 generations, and our shipper Greg Fuller, great sportsman. We have a bow hunter here. The people, and our head packager Terry rides an e-bike. It was great to see. You wouldn't think, this gal, she's not going to be a bike rider. She rides an e-bike. Yeah. So, I think the people. That's what Park Tool is.
That's good. That's good. Definitely the people that make a business, and it also makes it enjoyable to like who you go and hang out with every day. I always say like you spend more time with your work family than you do with your real family. Yeah. So you better pick a good one.
Yeah. That's true.
So the last thing that I always like to ask people is what YouTube channels they like to watch, just because it's always fun to hear something new. And sometimes some real gems come out. So we know you watch cat videos. What else do you got on the playlist?
Oh man, I guess more music than actual videos. I wish Truman were here. He's on vacation. He eats that stuff up, right? He's that age that's his TV.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what he. I don't know. I read.
Yeah.
I read. How's that?
There you go.
Non-fiction. Kids, stay away from that fiction stuff. Doesn't do you any good.
No electricity for Calvin, man. That's the way it goes. Hey, I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down. Anybody that hasn't checked out Park Tool's website, go over there, parktool.com. Check out Park Tool they're on all the platforms. They're on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. They got it all. Go over there, check it out. Calvin gives great tutorials. Him and his partner give great tutorials on how to fix your bike. So definitely, if you're looking for a top-notch how-to video, that's a good place to start. If you guys haven't already subscribed to the channel, give me a subscribe as well, or a thumbs up. If you're listening to the podcast, write me a review. That'd be rad. You can do the same thing over there on their channel as well. I'm thinking he's not hurting on subscribers, though. They're doing pretty good. So great job over there.
Everyone quit watching YouTube and go ride your bike.
Yeah, go ride your bike, people.
Yeah.
So then if there's only one other thing that you get out of all of this today, remember it only takes a bike to be a biker. So get out and be one.
Thanks.